TV is weird.
And it's been a lot weirder since 1997, when South Park hit the airwaves and changed the face of television comedy forever. As will surprise absolutely no one, MovieBob loves South Park. I love the characters, I love the writing, I love Trey Parker and Matt Stone's comic sensibilities, I love the way it's evolved and matured while maintaining a consistent tone and foundation, I love the movie, I love the music, I love South Park. But you know what I don't love? People who get or claim to get their socio-political views from South Park. Now, this is the internet, so we've all run into this by now, right? People whose first statement on any given issue is like, "Ah, man, global warming's fake. Just watch Man Bear Pig." Or, "Alcoholism isn't really a disease. South Park told me so." So freaking sick of these kids. Now, just to be clear, this is not going to be a gateway for me saying nobody should look to TV shows or movies or whatever to help shape their opinions. I'm talking about South Park exclusively here. See, a lot of pop culture stuff is actually designed for this purpose, inasmuch as it's grounded in a consistent ideology. For example, Star Trek absolutely has a coherent philosophy at work, namely left-of-center utopian futurism. Starship Troopers and 300 are both explicit endorsements of military-centric society. Atlas Shrugged is literally a narrative guidebook to objectivist philosophy. What all of these things have in common is that they were, to one extent or another, the result of their respective creators setting out to offer up a point of view in a narrative context. As such, it's completely possible to receive and adopt a coherent personal philosophy from them. South Park, on the other hand, not so much. Much of what makes South Park work so well on its own merit is that, like the similarly ingenious Venture Brothers, much of it's overwhelmingly coming from the minds of two creators who appear to be so in sync creatively, philosophically, and socially that the show is able to have the confidence of a singular voice but the polish of a collaborative effort. It's my contention that that dynamic, more than anything, is what makes South Park so vital and powerful as part of the modern pop culture conversation, but also what makes it essentially useless as a source of genuine socio-political philosophy. See, Matt and Trey don't really seem to have a grand, unified social or political philosophy themselves. They've certainly said as much in the past, after all, but the actual content of the show bears that out. Just as the actual makeup of the jokes can be summarized as stuff Matt and Trey find funny, the actual basis of the show's off-and-on message-mongering doesn't seem to follow any broad, overarching philosophical logic other than attacking individual people, things, and ideas that these two guys personally object to in a given situation and or want to prod at just to be contrarian for the hell of it. South Park as a show does not have a coherent episode-to-episode point of view other than everyone is stupid but us. For example, isn't the "don't dismiss people because their religion sounds kinda silly to you" coda of the All About Mormons episode sort of completely contradicted by the drubbing Scientology takes in the Trapped in the Closet and Return of Chef episodes? Yes it is. Or rather, it would be if South Park even pretended to have a coherent overall philosophical premise. But it doesn't. Parker and Stone are more or less cool with Mormonism, but they have a huge problem with Scientology, and knocking or not knocking whatever it is they like or dislike, consistency be damned, is as close as South Park gets to an overriding philosophy. The only reason that the absurd notion of South Park as a socio-political force, as opposed to a series of well-landed takedowns of individual topics and personalities, gets any traction at all is that its infrequent ribbing of so-called liberal sacred cows like environmentalism or tolerance was somewhat novel in the realm of crude comedy shows, and the attendant popularity of memes like Man Bear Pig or The Smug Alert had a lot of right-wing political wonks salivating at the thought of Generation Xers growing up into so-called South Park Republicans. And if you want to know how well that worked out, Andrew Sullivan, the political blogger who first coined the term South Park Republican way back in the day, endorsed this guy for president. Look, I'm not trying to knock South Park down a peg here. I love South Park. I'd even go so far as to say that episodes like The Passion of the Jew, Cartoon Wars, and You're Getting Old are both some of the funniest and most important things ever to hit TV. But this insane idea that Parker and Stone's extremely subjective roster of grievances constitutes some sort of quasi-libertarian belief system for people to walk around trumpeting really needs to go away. Partially because it's tainting the overall legacy of a really great series, but also because the people who do go around trumpeting it are really, really, really annoying. I'm Bob, and that's the big picture. Alright, one more thing, since apparently everyone found this so fascinating last week. Yeah, this is my real speaking voice. I'm from Boston. I have a regional accent. Isn't that weird? Most of the time on my web shows or panels, you hear me sounding more like this, which is sometimes referred to as a broadcast voice, mostly because a generic Middle American affect is easier to edit sound around and or build character voices from, and also because I learned to drop it back in college for public speaking. So why did I slip back into it last week? Dunno, just kinda got into a groove, I guess. You know what really sucks, though? For like 20 years of my life, this accent made me sound like a low-rent JFK, but now it just makes me sound like the Scout. Anyway, I'm Bob, and that's the big picture.